Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in this episode I'm going to be showing you how to make a nice simple hair rig for carp fishing. So let's go through the things that we need. So first of all we're going to need some line. For the purpose of this video I'm going to use some thick line. It's about £15. You can also use braid. This is monofilament. You can use fluorocarbon, whatever takes your fancy. So we need some line. We're also going to need a bait such as a boilie, and then if I just go into my tackle box, right, you're going to need a knot puller, and for this this is good for strengthening knots and also checking the strength of a knot, so to get the knot tightened down and to then check that it is actually not slipping. You'll also need a bait drill so that you can drill the bait, drill a hole through it, so that you can then apply the hair rig. And you'll also need a baiting needle. So I've got two types here. So the standard type, it's like a spike, and if you can see here, there's a tiny little flick of metal that you can see there. And what that does is the spike goes through the bait. When it comes out the other side, you will get the loop of your hair rig and just tag it on that little sticky out part there, and then pull it back through, and then you'll be able to use a bait stop to secure the bait. So that's the standard type, and the other type is hinged. So it pushes through and it's got a little hook on it here, and you pull the loop of the hair through the bait, and you close this door, this little hinge, so that it all goes through nice and smoothly. So there you go, a baiting needle. You'll also need a pair of scissors, just to neaten up the knots, cut everything down. And you'll need a hook. You can use a straight shank, curved shank, barbless, spaded, whatever you like, but for the purpose of this video I'm going to be using a curved shank eyed hook. Okay, so you'll also need a bait stop. So these come in many forms, different colours and sizes and shapes. As you can see, all the ones I've got here. You can even use a blade of grass if needed, just snip off a little piece of grass. But in general, a bait stop looks something like that, and that will secure the bait onto the end. Okay, so we'll get to it now. Okay, for the first step, we're going to create the hair, which is the loop that goes on the end of the rig, which holds the bait on. So for that, first of all, we're going to cut about a foot, about 30 centimeters or 12 inches of line, or as I say, you can use braid or fluorocarbon. We're going to cut that off. Okay, so there are various knots that you can make, that you can tie to make the loop on the end, but I am just going to keep it nice and simple, and I'm just going to use an overhand loop. And when you do this, you want to try and make the loop as small as you can. And as you can see, I'm just using the knot puller. So I've got it through the loop there, pulling it nice and tight. Don't want it coming loose. So there we are. No need to wet it. Usually I'd wet it, but there's not going to be any tension under this, because all the tension will be on the hook and the hook tie, rather than the loop itself. So that's nice and tight. So now we can go ahead and we can just trim off the excess. Okay, so now we have our little loop. Okay, so next we have our loop, and now we are going to attach the boilie. So I'll just have a small one here. It's about a 12mm. You can use whatever you like. And so to make the hole in the boilie, or whichever bait you're using, we take our bait drill and we just carefully start to drill a hole through the bait by twisting it like so. Not too rough, because you don't want to cause a crack. So there we are. So that's gone all the way through. That now has a hole in it. So we take our baiting needle, pull back the little hinge at the end, and then we push that through the boilie. Now you can see it's through. Take our loop at the end of our line, and then we'll hook the needle over that loop. Next, we just close off the hinge on the baiting needle so it's secure, and then push the boilie on. There. So that's all the way through. Just remove the needle. Next thing to do is to take your bait stop. Here's mine. Put that through the loop. And then push the boilie down tight so it all tightens up nicely. So there's the bait stop, holding the boilie on to the hair rig. Okay, so next what we do is we take our hook. I'll try and bring this a little closer. We take our hook and we thread the end of the line through the back of the eye and pull the line until the boilie comes up near to the hook. There we are. So now this is the point where you choose the length that you want your hair rig to be. So depending on a few things like the size of the bait. So if the bait was large, it might be further back. But also depending on the size of fish that you're fishing for. So for example, a fish that's quite small might take a bait and not need so much distance to keep the hook in position. So this is all quite debatable. I mean, let me know your thoughts below in the comments section. It is kind of a personal preference thing, and it does depend a lot on where you fish and what you're fishing for. So in general, I would give a distance of something about like this. And you want to remember that when the fish takes the bait, the boilie is not going to be the part of the rig that holds the fish on. It's going to be the hook. So when the hook's in, you want this part to be out of the way. If it's very tight here, it can cause a hook pull because it doesn't allow the hook to find its footing. So give a nice distance. So then what we do is we'll just pinch it here, take your line, and you begin to wrap the line around the shank. So you can do 8 turns, but you can do more than that. In general, I like to get the ends of the turns roughly level with the tip of the hook. So we're about level here. And then I'm just going to find the end of the line. Good to note that, of course, if your line is too thick, it might not go back through the eye the second time. So just be aware of that. You need the right size of hook to match the line. So we put that back through the eye and we pull that. Pull that tight. And there you can see that is called the knotless knot, and we have about 14 turns in there, and it is roughly, the end of the turns is roughly level with the tip of the hook. And then we want to go to the other end and tie our swivel on. So next step is to tie on your swivel. So you can use a quick change swivel, a standard swivel, whatever you like. I'm just going to use a standard swivel just to show you how to do it. And the way I do it is, I put the line through, and then I will twist around the line around about 6 times, depending on the thickness of the line, because thicker line might bunch up, and with braid it's a little bit different as well. But I go for about 6, and then what I'll do is I'll put the end of the line through the loop at the bottom, like so. Now at this stage you can simply pull down and tighten up, or you can put it through again just to prevent any slippage. But I find that with a thick monofilament you don't necessarily need to do that. I would do that if it was, say, a lighter line which had more tendency to slip, but again it depends on preference, depends on the line. So I'll just show you now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just first of all going to wet it, and that is to stop any friction, stop the line cutting into itself, and I'm going to proceed to pull this knot down. Keep tension on both ends because you don't want anything bunching up. So first of all I'm just going to pull it with my hand, and then I'm going to use my knot puller, put the end of the swivel in there like so. As I say, I've only put this through once, and I'll just show you with this thick line it doesn't really slip much at all. So I'm pulling on that nice and tight. If there is any give, just pull down again. But as you can see, that's going nowhere, and I've used this on many rigs. With, like I said, with a thick line I prefer to put the line through once rather than twice. So I'll just snip the tag end off, and there is your knot. So going through the rig we have a swivel which you can attach to your main line, and then at the end we have the curved shank hook which has a knotless knot and a boilie at the end with the boilie stop. So if you want to change your bait, just take off the boilie stop, put another bait on, and that is pretty much it for the basics of a hair rig. So just before you use it you want to check that this is mainly why when you do the knotless knot you put the line through the back of the eye and then through the back of the eye again, to give it this angle. See how the line is pointing forward rather than backwards, and what that does is it allows, when the hook goes into the fish's mouth, if the hook is pushed out or the fish tries to eject it, as you can see it will find its way. So I'll just do that again. You try and pull it on your hand along, it should turn and grab. If it turns and grabs, that's perfectly fine. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. Please let me know below if this video has helped you. If you do it in a different way, please let me know, as there are many different ways you can do these. That is pretty much it for a hair rig. I'll be doing many more tutorials very soon, so please like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.